Подскажите, пожалуйста, видно презентацию фулл-скрину?
Да, видно.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Прошу прощения. Мы начинаем.
Да.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to present to you our project on using data analysis and planning the company's strategic goals. My name is Darya Gladkaya. This is Артемий Мацуев. We're on the 4th year of Graduate School of Business in Higher School of Economics, and our scientific advisor for the project was Levina Tamara Vladimirovna. IT solutions are becoming a popular theme in supply chain management, and we divided them into 3 main groups. Those are data collections with the examples of blockchain and Internet of Things, data analysis such as big data and machine learning, and the IT solutions that are increasing supply chain performance, such as augmented reality, 3D printing, and using of drones. We noticed that data analysis out of all the methods does not require significant financial investments apart from data collections and increasing supply chain performance. It has a more clear economic effect from implementing the technologies in the company. It does not require high quality specialists to implement. And there's no need for a high level of coordination in supply chain, and supply chain does not to be one of the high tech. From the given comparison of those groups, we determined that the data analysis has a high potential to bring economic profit in the company, and it is on a high maturity level right now. However, those technologies are not widely used in the companies right now. Main reasons for implementing the data analysis technologies in the company could be that the amount of collected data is much more than data that is analyzed, and data collection is the main base to implement data analysis technologies. However, still the main tool in most companies for strategic planning and forecasting is expert evaluation, which gives much less accurate results. We found 2 main approaches to evaluate the impact of those technologies on the economic performance of the company. The first one is the financial factor models, and the second one is the models with using local indicators. We found 2 articles on those topics. The first one, the dynamic modeling and the logistics impact on the return of equity assessing by Kovalchuk, presented a strategic profit model that tested the effect on return of equity by changing the indicators such as level of service, administrative costs, and the loss from late payments. The main the main advantages were said to be that the model factors create a realistic picture of a state of the company, which gives favorable conditions for model testing. And the second one is the ability to systematically consider the impact of the logistical factors. The restrictions of the model was the inability to evaluate the performance of multiple indicators at once, and the strong need for a clear connection between logistics and financial performance to get an adequate result. The second article, a total cost of ownership model for supporting the configuration of industrial plants by authors Mandolini, Marvilunga in Germany, presented a total cost of ownership model that determined the suppliers and the production technology for the industrial plant. And it was found in the case that the purchase price was not a determining factor in the procurement. The main advantages of the model for this case was that it can be used in the designing of a supply chain and later in the process of the procurement. And for the company, it was important that it can be used in business to business and business to customer scenarios. The main restriction of the model was said to be that it can only analyze individual factors and that concluded the restrictions of the model. As we found, the main problem is that the models do not give the ability to evaluate the performance of indicators, of several indicators at once. And we found actually not a lot of scientific research on the topic, so we decided to create a multi-factor profit model in the company to add to this research. The research objective was to improve the validity of supply chain management decisions by developing a multi-factor profit model. The object of the study was a chain retailer specializing in consumer electronics, and to understand the scale of the company, it has about 1,000 stores in Russian Federation. The main stages of the research was to build a strategic map and then calculate the correlation between different indicators, and then execute a strategic map that could show the calculated correlation between the identified factors. On the upper level, we used a DuPont model, and on the lower level, we used a strategic map, and we calculated the weights for it by using multiple regression.
Okay, so to begin with, after creating the strategic map, we tried to calculate some factors and their dependence upon some other factors, as you may guess from the using of multiple regression model. First, we tried to come up with factors affecting gross income from sales. We calculated that it probably will be the area of owned stores, area of rented stores, quantity of SKU in the matrix, average price, stock value, and marketing costs. We tried to calculate gross income from sales because we can easily compare predicted value that we would have got from multiple regression with the values that we would have got from the simple time series methods, such as a linear trend with seasonal coefficients. So next slide, please. Yeah. So we used Python, and we used statistics from the past 5 years to the method of multiple regression to get the following results. First result that we've got is that our value was below 0.8, which means that our statistics does not sufficiently enough explain the difference in the data that we in the sales. Also, marketing costs were very hard to account for because we don't really know for how long the marketing actions really affect the market. Also, we got a negative correlation between our area of our own stores and the sales, probably because area of our own stores did not really change sufficiently, and probably we got some errors in data that we did not really found out. And then we got unrealistically high correlation between area of rented shops and our sales, because in our model we got something like 1.5 1,500 rubles per square meter, where in reality it's about only 500 rubles per square meter per day. And also we calculated RMS error that was about 1.88 times higher than when we tried to use method of linear regression, or then we tried to use seasonal regression. Yeah. So we got out with some problems. First problem was low data collection frequency, because on the higher levels, on the strategic level, we did not even have a chance to use linear regression, because in most cases we only got monthly data, and for the linear regression we need hundreds or thousands of rows of data, which was not really possible with monthly collected data. It's also that data shortage, since a lot of our possible predictions were we didn't even have an ability to check them because we did not have enough sufficient data. It's also errors and outliers in data, which was there was a lot of them, and we had to manually extract them. Also, data was stored in different sources, and also we got unclear economic profits, since our model got lower results than typically used models, and we did not really have any data on external factors, since company does not really store that data inside. So we got out with some solutions for data analysis that can be used in different situations, and not only in our case, but in companies in general, since data analysis is so perspective and have very high upside. First, it's data unification, then it's turning data into single source. It's creating a data quality control function in the company. It's using mathematical models that are insensitive to data outliers. Then it's establishing a permanent strategic data analysis on the planning team, and detailed study on external sources, such as public statistics. Especially, it will be important to upload the data in the company's internal sources and databases.
From our case study and the research with the scientific literature that we found, we made up some conclusions and direction for the further research. The main conclusions for the usage of data analysis, that is, it requires significant financial investments and a need for highly qualified specialists that are in deficit on the job market. And the biggest complexity is to calculate the economic profit of implementing such technologies. The main directions for further research could be understanding how machine learning can increase the forecasting accuracy, and how the implementing of the IT solutions in supply chain management will affect the strategic planning processes and how they will be re-engineered. And the main conclusion and direction for their research is that we think that the problems with such tools will be eliminated by themselves with the improvement of other functions in the company, because the technologies are always advancing. This concludes our presentations. We thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions,
Спасибо, коллеги. У кого есть вопросы? Question, please.
I have some questions, Mark Sorokin, if you let me.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, my first question is, please turn the first slide or somewhere. Supply chain high tech. how do I understand the thesis actually?
We can explain it in a way that supply chain on all parts need to have technologies to store and collect the data. It's accounting systems. It's accounting system that links to the other organizations in the supply chain, which is not widely actually, which is not used everywhere right now. So in the current situation, the supply chain of this type can be considered high tech. So it just means they use technology for data collecting, basically.
So if I understand right, you mean that the systems which generate some information should be integrated between each other or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Next question. Put on the slide with modeling the turnover, please. Just a little feedback. Actually, that's a really strong presentation on the whole. Thank you. That's great, really great to hear something about the data. But I have some feedback about this slide. This is too personal assessment. I mean, too abstract thesis. If you say that low coefficient of correlation, I mean, at least there should be somebody mark on the low what is high, what is, because some people don't know this. It's quite deep knowledge. Not all the people understand that clearly. The same is about unrealistically high correlation. I mean, what is unrealistically? Why is that unrealistically? It should be just a little bit more understandable. I mean, not so much complicated, just a feedback. And the next slide, please. I just want to ask you a question. Do you think there are some more problems, for example, about data interpretation? I mean, you can have all the data in the same data lake or warehouse or somewhere, but still, you, for example, have sales department and operational department, and don't you think that there can be some problems between the interpretation of the same data? How do you think about that?
Yeah, obviously, it is a huge problem to interpret data because usually to really understand what's going on in the data set, you need to have some knowledge of the field of the study. So basically, if you are just a data scientist and you don't know anything about logistics, for example, it will be quite hard for you to completely understand what's going on in the, for example, in the data set about, for example, the logistics costs. You obviously need to get some expert knowledge anyway, and we think that when you collide data sets from sales and from, for example, operations, you need to have some management knowledge to really comprehend that.
I agree, but the problem is more complicated because you, for example, you have some service quality indicators, and for example, operational department says we have no losses, or maybe 1 in a million, and the sales department says you have 1 in 1,000 losses. So, and how would you solve this type of problems? Because that's just polemics, and it can disrupt the good atmosphere in the team. I mean, the political mind games and so on. How would you solve? How would you prevent the problem, actually?
Yeah, we really need to concentrate the responsibilities on the data management, as we previously mentioned in the are results that we really need to have some concentrated department that solely thinks about data management and therefore are not accountable for sales or for operations or anyway. They just have their data and they represent true and real results without any.
Yeah, I agree. That's a cool, great answer. Thank you.
Excuse me. I think that's enough questions. It's enough.
Okay.
Okay. Мы исчерпали лимит времени, поэтому я заканчиваю эту дискуссию и переходим к следующему докладу.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Спасибо.